So you're really talking about slicing and dicing the functionality that you're giving to the customer and making sure that they're getting the first value, the most important, most urgent of that immediately, instead of waiting for a year and a half. They don't have to have the long waits. So that's what Agile brings, and it does break the things into smaller portions. As in the context of the Scrum, it's called sprint. So a sprint is that kind of a small little time box. It's called time box again. So the time box of that, it could be 2 weeks, it could be 1 week. If it's a small project, every week you can deliver something. Or it could be, if it is a fairly complex one, you can have for 4 weeks a sprint. So it depends on the complexity or the type of the project. Sometimes you can have between 1 week and 4 weeks. The team completely works on that. And then once they complete the work, it is in a stage of actually taking to the market. And that's what we were talking about, back to the example of e-commerce website of this mobile phone. I can actually have the order, even the order that is completed and processed by, let's say, 2021 April. But that doesn't have to, all of that need not be done in one go. I can actually deliver the catalog in the next month, the selection of the items and ability to add that to the shopping cart by December. And then ability to pay online using my credit card by February, and ability to pay by my bank transfer or sending a check options by, let's say, June. So you're constantly adding value to the customer, but it's not done everything at one go. You're actually doing it step by step. And also you're trying to make any changes, any improvements that need to be done in a way that would help you shape the product better to suit their needs, because you're constantly engaging the customer. You're constantly getting their feedback. You're constantly getting how they want this product to work for them, right? So that is all the way. There is that bridge of communication between us and the customers and the users. And using that, we're actually trying to improve the product on a continuous basis. It's not just taking the requirements, like in the waterfall we were talking about, taking the requirements, spending like 1 month just to write the requirements, and then after about a year and a half going to the customer saying, you know what, this is the product. They say, no, this is not what we wanted. So that's the beauty of Agile. So that's the fantastic value that Agile offers compared to a waterfall mode. And here the requirements, we're talking about the requirements about my experience of working with the waterfall, spending a good month and a half, 2 months, just to write a requirement document we call as FRS, functional requirement specification document, going through hundreds and hundreds of pages. And then that goes through a lot of iterations, reviews, and then sign off happening after 3 months. No, in Agile, it's not the case. You can actually write in the back of a card. We were talking about the back of the cards and the planning poker and the index cards, right? You can actually write on the back of this. That's what is Agile all about. In fact, that's the origin of user story. It should be small enough to be written on the back of, the requirement should be small enough to be written on the back of this card type. As a user, I should be able to do this so I get this benefit. As a customer, I should be able to add or select an item so that it can be added to my shopping cart or basket. Simple. As an administrator, I should be able to see the shopping basket of a customer after they finish the order so I can process it. So you're actually thinking from the point of view of user. You're writing, this is a requirement, that's all. This is how they started the user stories concept. And from there on, obviously, we're not using the physical index cards anymore, but we're using the Jira and these kind of tools, Trello and Jira and TFS, to actually kind of add those detailing later. But that's how small, how quick I can write a requirement. And I can actually almost get it instantaneous sign off from the customer, because I can actually show it to the customer then and there. Once I write it, I say @Paul or Robert @, please review this. Are you happy? And he gets an instant notification then and there. And he actually looks at it. No, I don't think you need to add this one here. It's not the entire cart. They should be able to add multiple items. So say the user should be, as a user, as a customer, I should be able to add multiple items to the cart. So that's a change in the functionality. He writes that in the user story. And then he says, yeah, that's good to go. And then that's done almost in an hour's time. And this is compared to, let's say, 2 or 3 months of the effort that is spent in just, getting the bunch of requirements. And we're really talking about loads of requirements. Nobody, to be honest, I'm again being a bit more controversial here. Not many people, including technical team, that is developers or architects, would like to read documents. Yeah, they hate documents. They hate documents. They hate meetings, spending loads and loads of time in meetings. Take it from me. This is my experience working in the IT industry for 20 years. I've seen that. Please do not trust these 300, 400 page requirements document on the face of the development team and ask them to go through. They would not read a single line in that. And also the same with the meetings. Don't push or schedule meetings for the developers and the technical team and the technical architects to come and discuss the business functionality for hours and hours and hours. They hate it. They hate meetings. They hate documentation. Okay, so that's a bit controversial, but that's my understanding. So in which case, show this story to them. And the first thing, it's a 3-line requirement document. They understand it. And then they talk about, that's the 3 C's we were talking about, right? The card, the conversation, and the confirmation of a user story. So you encourage the conversation. They talk about, and then they discuss. It's just a discussion around 4 or 5 chairs pulled together. They say, hey, I think we've got the card there. We've got the functionality. But hold on, I think now the requirement says not just 1 item. So I should be able to add 1 more item to the card. So if that is the case, we need to store that object in some place. Let's say a temporary place of the items. So let's say temporary cart or something where you add items, 1 item, 2 item, 3 items, like a recursive iterative one. Okay, I think that works. So in which case there should be a way to stop that. We can't just add infinite number of items. It should be having some limit there. Should we restrict the order of the cart to 5, 10, 15? So here, what is happening here? I'm actually discussing, I'm thinking aloud. So that think aloud of the developers and the backend team. And now the backend team comes, the database guy comes in, hey, hold on, I think we've got a problem with this because this item object cannot have more than, let's say, I'm just throwing something. It's like a Twitter having a character limit of 144, whatever, because of the fact that it's a technical limit. It's not because of business limit. It started there and then that continued, right? So there might be some constraint that the technology team, the backend team, the database team, or the front-end team says, oh, you know what, I think we should have another screen there to say, are you sure you're done with the adding of items? So the front-end UI guy, the UI developer might come and say, well, can we do it this way? So what we're doing here is a kind of conversation. You're encouraging the conversations, and then you have got the confirmation finally, and they're going to go ahead with the development. So the prioritization is actually, again, done by the team of the user stories, right? So you've got the team working on the estimation, as we discussed yesterday and day before. It's the team which does the estimation, team does the work, team does the delivery, team does the entire ownership of this product. It's not somebody else, not the customer, not the senior management, not somebody else outside. So the team collectively takes ownership and owns the delivery of this work. And that's why it actually could be done really relatively quicker than if it's otherwise. So the product increment is what we call. It's not a product, the final product. I'm not talking this whole e-commerce website would be ready by September, or I mean by November or December. What we're talking about is the e-commerce product, the whole of this website. We're going to deliver in phases. And the first one would be ready, the shopping cart, or the catalog would be ready by November. And then you should be able to add this whole thing by December. By February, you should be able to place the order. And then by April, you're able to purchase that using online, using the gateways, payment gateways like WorldPay. You can use a credit card. Sorry, you can just use credit card by April, but we're working on to add more modes of payment. And then by July, let's say, we can have bank transfers. We can have other check. You can send a check and then you can place an order. See, you're trying to actually incrementally add value. It's not just at one big bang. So that's the beauty of, again, Agile. So we are trying to talk about a 2 to 3 week roughly average. Again, that depends. It could be 1 week to 4 weeks is what Scrum says. So depending on the time box, the size of the time box, we are actually delivering this in phases. And that's what it's called, iteration or a sprint in Scrum methodology. We're going to discuss these in detail later.